This is a good, not great training on Disciple Tools Multisite plugin. And this plugin is basically used in only multi-site environments, which you can refer to the documentation for more clarity on what that is. But for a multi-site server where you're going to run 20 to 100 Disciple Tools systems in one server, this Disciple Tools Multisite plugin helps administrators do some very specific tasks to overcome the kind of design style of a multi-site. So inside the multi-site, you have a new menu that appears, which shows you have an admin dashboard. In addition to the dashboards for each of the individual sites, you'll have an administrative dashboard. You go to that, and when you have the plugin installed, it will create this Disciple Tools tab here on the administrative dashboard. Then inside there, you'll have a series of tabs. The first is the Overview tab, the Import Subsite tab, the Map Box Keys, the Network Dashboard plugin, and the Movement Maps and Stats plugin. These two final tabs do not show up automatically. They show up when you have installed the Network Dashboard plugin to the system, and additionally the Movement Maps and Stats plugin. So these are two more plugins, and these are special tabs that help you organize and manage the system. So the first tab, and I'm going to go over it cursory, but the documentation should cover more details. Basically, you have the ability to trigger a network upgrade using a URL call, and where this helps an administrator is just like WordPress will have a network update feature, and it will go through and trigger updates to both database or things like that. When a WordPress new version comes out, this is the Disciple Tools side of that. So you would click and trigger the sites, and it would run through and force basically a wake up, and then trigger any migrations or version updates across those sites, which is really helpful if you have quite a few hundred sites. But you can see that's basically what that does. The Import Subsite tab gives a long description of how you would import a site from one location into a multi-site. There's a few tools out there that are quite helpful. Going from a multi-site to multi-site is very doable. From a multi-site to a single site is easy. But to go from a single site into a multi-site, because of the way that the users are installed, this is the process for doing that. So you have these various steps, and then you can identify the subsite, and then this migration will go and reset all of the user IDs if those user IDs are already taken inside the multi-site system. So this is a very specific purpose migration, but this is about the only place you can get something like that done. So I won't cover it in detail how it works, but that's its purpose, is to help administrators move a Disciple Tools site from a single installation into a multi-site installation. Okay, with the Mapbox Keys tab, you will have the ability to manage the Mapbox keys across all of the systems. And this is really helpful as an administrator. One of the biggest features and feature increases that you can do to a Disciple Tools system is go get a free Mapbox key and install it. It unlocks all kinds of maps, beautiful zooming maps, better geolocation triggering, better user experience across the board. We built Disciple Tools so that it could be as independent as possible from third-party dependencies, but this is one that we just could not get around. And so you can add the Mapbox key here, and add different kinds of Mapbox keys or all the same Mapbox key to service multiple sites or system. The network dashboard plugin. This is when you have the network dashboard plugin installed, and it will enable both this tab, and then it will show you all of the sites where the network dashboard is activated. So you could have 100 sites, but if only these few have the network dashboard activated in their site, then they'll show up here. But just because they have the network dashboard activated and they're using it through its remote API connections, site-to-site links, you can empower one or two of them inside the system to see all the multi-sites inside the system. So here's a use case. You may have sites who are making those mesh connections through their network dashboard, but you only have one site that is like a leadership Disciple Tools. And when you enable the leadership to see, they will do that. Triggers an enormous amount of background activity to track activity and cumulative data across all of those systems for the network dashboard. So that is what this tab does. It allows an administrator of a multi-site to uniquely power the network dashboard. Where this comes into high usage is you can use the network dashboard through site-to-site links up to about 50 sites. After that, the system tends to slug a little bit, not so bad. It doesn't fail, but it does seem to put a lot more weight onto the system. And so a very easy way to get around that and run 200 or 400 sites is to use this multi-site plugin. The Movement Maps Stats plugin is an extension that can be installed on a public website and delivers mapping from the network dashboard activity log. And so this gives permission. So currently in the Zume environment, you would have Zume maps showing up as part of our movement effort, and they are given permission to have access to the network dashboard on the global Zume Disciple Tools system. And so I can disable that permission, and it would cut off the access for that plugin to pull from that data store or whatever. So anyways, this is a very special configuration. Quite honestly, we may rebuild it in the near future. Our goal is to empower groups to be able to rally prayer efforts publicly. And so giving access to the internal system in a way that protects the data, but also allows people to see and engage with prayer over movement efforts. So that's basically the idea.